Over the last couple of decades, social media has expanded its way to so much more than just a form of communication and talking with each other. It's gotten to like entertainment, it's gotten news and trends, and so much more. And it is taking up so much of our time. It is like every single minute we spend on social media is one extra minute we are wasting that we could be using on something productive. And it's becoming more and more clear that, quite frankly, we need to do something about it. We need to step up and stop being so attached to social media in a sense. And I know that as young teenagers, we struggle with this. We struggle with social media and really trying to get off of it, trying to reduce our screen times on social media. I know, like, we struggle the most with it, but that doesn't mean that it can just go unspoken of. That doesn't mean that we should just sit there and accept that this is how life is going to be. It doesn't have to be that way. For me, social media was a place of almost safety. It was a place of comfort where on those nights where I was sick, on those nights where it was snowing and raining outside, I could be cuddled up in my bed, nicely tucked in and just scrolling on social media without a second thought. It feels great, doesn't it? It feels great to be comfortable, but comfort shouldn't be accepted if it's not earned. That's a really bad phrase. I'm trying to think of a new word for it, but my point is when you're used to having comfort in your life, when you're used to getting all this dopamine and serotonin all of a sudden from quite frankly doing nothing, it really affects your health, your mental and physical health. And I know that most of us want to improve it, but we just don't know where to start. But that's fine. Kind of why social media is so dangerous is how accessible it is. You open your phone, you look at it, and you swipe up, and then TikTok is right there. It's probably on like the bottom row where it's like pinned and everything. It's probably there, right? That's like 2 seconds. In a matter of 2 seconds, you can go from being bored to all of a sudden scrolling your mind off on social media, on TikTok, and losing track of time. Hours and hours go by. Each video on like TikTok is 10, 20 seconds long. And you might be thinking, oh, I'm just gonna spend 5-10 minutes on it, it's fine. It's not gonna waste too much time, right? We always say that. And then half an hour goes by, and then 1 hour, and then two, right? You see where I'm going with this? It's so easy to get lost in the vast sea of random things that pop up in the algorithm, and all those new trends, and half-naked girls, and those video game clips. It's so easy to get lost and lose track of time. That's why it's so dangerous. Back before when I started my self-improvement journey, I remember on days I've had 8 up to 10 hours of screen time a day. 8 to 10 hours of screen time or more. I didn't really acknowledge it back then, but now that I look back at it, I was spending more time on a screen, on a digital screen with pixels in front of me for more than I slept. I was wasting so much time on it, and I didn't even realize it. That was back when I was, quite frankly, I was fine with working a 9 to 5. In the future, if like it came to be, I was fine with it, right? Because from my family, I'm gonna get a bit personal here, but for my family, my father has been working 12 hours a day every day for since at least a couple of years now. He's been working every single day for up to 12 hours a day, and I thought that was normal. And my father always used to tell me, it's like, oh yeah, go to school so you don't have to work like him. Go to school so you can work a 9 to 5 instead of a 10 to 10, right? Something like that. And I used to think, yeah, I could do that. That's manageable. I want to do that. But ever since I've discovered self-improvement and really how people can do side hustles and make more than part-time, full-time jobs, ever since that, I've been kind of skeptical about this whole path of traditionalism and the 9 to 5 job. But back to the topic here, getting rid of social media was, for me, a very personal choice. It wasn't by persuasion by any of my other friends or forced by my parents, I chose to get rid of social media myself. And it took a couple of tries to actually get it done. I deleted it once, and then about a week later I re-downloaded it, and then I deleted it again, and then this time 2 weeks, and then I deleted it for the third time, and since then I haven't touched TikTok ever since. I've been clean of it. And honestly, life feels so much better. You feel so much more energized now that you have time to spend outside. Now that you can be outside and actually see the sunlight and touch grass, literally. It feels so much better than being on your screen all day and literally wasting hours just that add up to days and months and years. It feels like freedom. It feels like after having like successfully escaped this rabbit hole of social media, it really feels like my life has been so much brighter. Now, for a little bit of context, I wasn't like that addicted to Instagram and Snapchat, right? Like the only thing I had was TikTok. I didn't have Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or anything. TikTok was the one app that I had that kept me jailed, that kept me from my full potential. And after I deleted it, I've found peace ever since. That sounds corny and everything, but I truly have. You know, I'm glad that I've never really had to deal with, Instagram and Snapchat, because I feel like that would be a whole different story. If you are like addicted in a sense to social media, I don't blame you. No one blames you, right? It's really not your fault. It's how easily accessible it's been made to us. It's just really like these huge companies, you know how they take their own kids, like the CEO and founders of these companies, they take their kids, put them in a private school, and don't let them touch social media ever because they know how dangerous it is. They know what it does to you. And yet we're out here, us normal kids, having to deal with this, right? It's unfair. Even worse, I was a consumer. I didn't post anything. I was solely on social media for consuming content. And since learning about it's like, reduce consumerism and increase producerism or something, that's changed my mindset ever since. If you haven't learned that concept yet, it's like reduce what you're buying and increase how you make your money, because that's how you're gonna escape. But back to topic here. I was solely on social media, once again, for the content. I was on there to watch videos, to spend time, to waste time, and to, quite frankly, do nothing. And that really was the number one thing that caused me to stop. It was a combination of seeing how much time I really was spending on it, and just purely by self-choice. Purely a choice made by myself. And I feel like if you're being forced by your parents or anything to like delete social media and quit video games, I feel like that's not efficient, because you're having someone do the work for you. You're not subconscious, you're not like putting yourself to work here. You're just having your parents be there and say, hey, don't download it, I'm gonna block the internet if you do it. It's useless. If you're setting boundaries on yourself, if you're scribbling on your wall each day that you pass NoFap, if you're doing all of that, you're gonna fail eventually, right? Because you keep going back to it. And this is gonna be a little off topic again, but back when I was first trying to quit pornography and quit fapping, I learned this little trick that you could do on like MacBooks, where you enter in the terminal and then you do the block websites thing, and you can block websites from there. It didn't work at all. It was the exact opposite, because I knew how to get back, right? I knew how to unblock it and everything. So what was the point in making that? I don't know. I thought maybe I could have some self-control. But in the end, I just removed all the restrictions and told myself, stop. Just looked at myself in the mirror for 10 minutes straight and said, stop. Stop this shit. This is cringe. This is beta. I said that a lot. And it worked out. Without these restrictions, all of a sudden I was free and I wasn't addicted to it anymore. But spending all this time on social media made me realize something. It made me realize that if I keep going down this path, if I keep doing what everyone else is doing, my life is gonna turn out the same as them. My life, all this work that I've been putting in since 15, is gonna have been for nothing. And I really, really did not want that. I wanted to be different. I still want to be different. But I've learned that if you want to be different, you have to do more than just one thing. However, However, if you want to be different, you start out by doing one thing different from everyone else. You can't all of a sudden go stoic and just not show up to school and wear like weird ass clothes to school and call yourself different. You have to make it meaningful. You have to find it meaningful. You have to find meaning in what you're doing in order for it to be useful to you in the future. You know, I feel really lucky that I was never really in that realm of Instagram and Snapchat. Otherwise, this would be a completely different video. I feel like the more apps you have, the more you spend on it, obviously, the deeper the hole you're digging. The more trouble you're getting yourself into for your future. And my first piece of advice, if you're trying to quit social media, is take it slowly. Now, I know you've heard that a lot, but bear with me here. When you're ridding yourself of a bad habit, you can't, and it's like something big, it's a part of your life at this point, right? It's taking up hours of your life a day. If you're trying to cut all of that out at once, you're not going to be used to it. It's not going to work. So what I would recommend is what I did is not do what I did, right? Not just completely cut it out all at once, but instead try to lower your time, but here's the important part, right? When I say lower your time and restrict yourself from spending too much time on it, I don't mean put the screen time limitations on your phone. You know what that is? Where you just set the screen time and how much you can spend on it. Don't do that, right? It's going back again to when you have boundaries set for yourself, you're going to break them, right? It's just that simple. It's human nature. When a human approaches a challenge, they're going to solve it no matter what, right? So don't do all that shit. Just tell yourself, you know, oh, I'm only gonna be on there for 4 hours a day, right? And then lower that to 2, and then to 1, and eventually 0. It's gonna take some time, right? At least a month or 2, but it's gonna be worth it. You're not gonna have to go through everything that I went through, which I'm not gonna discuss today, but that's the first piece of advice, is to gradually lower your usage of social media. And you know, social media, it's bittersweet. It's got some benefits, but it's got more negatives. Obviously, you know, I remember doing papers on it, like writing essays back in the 8th grade, 7th grade about, you know, is social media good for you? Like, yes or no? And I remember I was asked to write it multiple times, and each time I said no. Social media is not good for you, because I truly believed in, you know, really, I feel like it used to be good. It used to be a necessity for our world to communicate with each other. But nowadays it's gone to so much more, like I discussed before, to entertainment, to movies, to like posting half-naked pictures of yourself on the internet. You know, that's what it's gotten to now, and that's the problem. But back to the main point of this video, which is in the title, why you should escape social media. And so the first reason why you should stop using social media is due to how much time it takes up. Now, just a reminder, most of the things I say in this video are going to be common knowledge. Like, you'll probably know this from other videos you've watched in the past, or just because it's common sense, but I'm going to restate it anyways, because I feel like it's important to know. So once again, the first reason why you should stop using social media is how much time it takes up in your life, right? I've gone on about how, for me, I've remembered those days when I had 8 to 10 hours of screen time a day just on social media, not even on games or anything, on one app. One app took up 8-10 hours of my time, right? You can be using that time for something so much better. You could be using that time doing actual productive stuff to improve your future, instead of instantly being gratified and getting all this dopamine every swipe you do it, right? You know dopamine, right? It's like the receptor that makes you happy or something. Or is that serotonin? I'm not sure, but it does something like that, right? It makes you happy. And I'm gonna go into a bit of science here, but dopamine is it contributes a lot to the positive feedback loop, which, if you don't know what that is, I'm gonna be saying this a lot over and over again, but basically it's when you're doing something and then the feeling you get, the feedback that you get from doing that thing reinforces you doing that thing, right? It's like, let's say you went outside, right? You went outside and then you feel good. And you come back inside and you're like, hey, yeah, I felt good. I'm gonna go back outside again. And you go back outside and you get a feeling again. It's like, yeah, this feels great. Being outside's great. And then you go back inside and then you're like, wait, that felt really good. And you come back outside, and the same loop over and over again. Now, the positive feedback loop could be positive, right? You could be doing good things that could lead you to do more of that good thing, but it could also be negative. You know, it's like watching pornography. Every single time you do it, you get dopamine. And then when you get dopamine, your brain's like, holy shit, this feels great. And then you do it again. And then you do it again and again and again because your brain keeps telling you, oh, you need this. This relieves my stress. This feels good. And that's the first thing you need to focus on is training and disciplining your feedback loop, your positive feedback loop, right? You need to make it so that it's reinforcing your good habits, but also at the same time, it's really just pushing down your bad habits. It's gonna just like eliminate them completely. And the positive feedback loop goes directly into social media and how much you spend. When you're being happy, when you see happy posts or when you see sad posts, whichever one you prefer, your brain gets that signal and it's kind of like, oh yeah, this actually makes me feel happy. This makes me feel smarter and less stressed. So I'm gonna keep doing it. This is the first step in the escaping the trap of social media, is to trick your mind, because it's been taught into thinking that social media is good for you, right? It's been taught into that by you. I don't blame you for that, but anyways, you need to train your mind into thinking that social media you don't need it, right? That's what you need to do first. Tell your mind that you don't need social media, because if you don't do that and you go straight to deleting it, guess what? You're gonna relapse. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many precautions you take, you're gonna go back because you haven't trained your mind hard enough. That's step one. And then step two is actually taking action. Step two is actually keeping track of how much time you spend on social media, and then use that feedback to develop a plan for you in the future, to develop this kind of curriculum so that your transition into the world of no social media is a lot easier and healthier for your mental health. Because in some people I've seen, they literally cannot live without social media. Like, they've been so used to it. They've been so used to having it just right at their fingertips that as soon as it's gone, they feel as though they're missing a part of their life. Can you believe that? Some people literally feel as though social media is a part of their life. It's engraved into their personality. That's how dangerous it is, man. When you're spending 10 hours a day, what do you think would happen, right? But once again, second step is to actually take action and stop using social media. So the solution to the first problem, which is how time consuming it is to, number one, figure it out and train your brain. Train your brain into thinking social media isn't useful to you so that you won't need it as much. And then second is to actually take action. Now, I know that's really vague and that's really broad, but I hope, because like the actions that you take here, I cannot dictate them. I cannot tell you exactly what to do because they just might not work for you. Now, the second reason why cutting out on social media would be beneficial to you is how it gives you a wrong perspective on the world. It gives you this heightened expectation of how reality really is. It shows you all these luxury apartments and goods that everyone else has, and it makes you think that getting them is really easy, when in reality, it's the exact opposite. Like, it used to be showing the lives of these top 1% of the top people who live in these high-rise apartments with luxury goods all around them. The life of them used to be hidden. It used to be for the elites, not for the common people to see. But we are the common people, and we weren't meant to see it. And it's better if it stays that way, because now you're just giving people this false sense of hope, this false sense of, oh, if I work hard today, I'll, get a new iPhone like the next time it comes out, and I'll reward myself with all this useless shit. it gives you this wrong idea of how easy and how hard life is. Social media makes the perfect life, the perfect idealized life look so easy to attain, when in reality it's the exact opposite. You start getting this mindset of, oh, I'll be able to get that, I can get that easily, when in reality you're just living a sad life. You're leeching off of everyone, you're leeching off of social media to give you a bit of happiness and joy. Social media often portrays idealized versions of people's lives. As masculine men, our nature is competition. It's literally in our bloodstream. Everything in this world, a raise, a new car, a new woman, everything is competition. It's not the 1980s anymore. If you don't compete in this world, you will be stomped on, literally. You will not have any place in this world. There are newer ways, better ways to making money than the traditional 9 to 5, right? It's just that simple. But simply put, if you aren't willing to compete against anyone else, if you're like, oh, I'm nice and I don't want to go against other people. I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to win. You're not gonna get anywhere. You're not gonna get anywhere in this world. You need to change that mindset, man. This constant exposure to the perfect life, to the mansions and high-rise apartments and great physiques and all that money online is causing real life issues. It contributes to unrealistic expectations. You know, I'm not trying to be corny or anything, but those of us out there and others men out there, those of us out there who are willing to make mistakes and who are willing to actually improve and move up because of those mistakes, we are the very thing that's going to keep our next generation alive. I'm not, pushing myself up or anything, but literally, we are what is going to be our generation's future. Now, the third and final reason why social media should be stopped is like the largest single reason out there, and that is just how detrimental it is to your mental health. You know, all this competition, it can often lead to depression and low happiness and has poor mental health. This is also why social media is so bad for you. It directly leads to like suicides. Now, to get back to topic, how really does time and social media and unrealistic expectations affect our mental health? How does all of that add up to all of our issues in this world? It's pretty simple. But regardless, it's gonna take time to get used to. I'm proud of you for actually trying. I'm proud of you for watching all the way to the end of this video, and hopefully you'll use some of the advice that I've discussed, and hopefully that helps. Honestly, the fact that you're actually trying shows that you are actually determined. It shows that you will be successful in your future. It doesn't matter if you fail for the first time or second or third or fourth or fifth. As long as you're getting less and less attached to it with every single try, it is worth it. I guarantee you. Yeah, well, I really hope this video has been of some help to you, and hopefully you can apply some of this knowledge into your life. And it's gonna take time to get used to, I know that. But don't worry, as long as you're trying, you'll get there. Good luck. See you next time.